Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about another barrier to developing a new habit, and that one is the lack of a plan. Now often people have these great ideas about what they want to do. They make a New Year's resolution about, being more fit or getting more exercise or going swimming or going to the gym or running or whatever it is, or making more money, or all these different great resolutions of what they're going to do. Get up early, all these things that they hear are really good and successful habits. And the challenge, of course, is that they make these big decisions, sometimes announce it to everybody, and then they don't actually make any changes. And the reason they don't make any changes often is because they don't have a plan. And so if that's you, if you like most of us that have made these type of proclamations, then maybe it's time to get serious and start developing a plan. All right, so when you get into developing a plan, then you have a good idea of sort of what you actually have to do. So when you make just a arbitrary decision to do something, you don't have an actual understanding of what that need to change to get the thing you want. You don't even often know what the habit even is that you're trying to create. You say you're going to go swim every day this week and get really fit doing that. Well, great, but what kind of swimming are you going to do? Are you going to do aquafit, or are you going to do lane swimming? Are you going to do speed swimming? Are you going to take lessons? Are you going to float around in the pool and watch your kids play? What kind of swimming are you talking about? And so having a plan of what you're actually going to do and knowing what habit you actually need to work on to get the result you want is the important part. So having a plan, figure out what the actual habit is. That's the first step. And then once you've got the habit that you want, then you have to consider what is going to be displaced by the habit you're now doing. Everybody's life is full. You can't just decide, I'm going to add this without subtracting something else. It just doesn't work. Even if it's something as unproductive as sitting on the couch watching Netflix, it doesn't matter. It's still something you do. Is it something that you're willing to give up? And if it isn't, then you're not going to be able to do it. So this is where planning comes into consideration. When am I going to do this habit? What am I going to displace? And can I put it off or do it later or whatever? What happens when I'm doing something that I should be doing when I should be doing something else? That's part of planning, right? Then you actually have to consider what the actions actually need to be done to make the habit a habit. So we talk about swimming, right? So if you want to go swimming every day, that means you have to have a habit of having your bathing suit clean, having it in your bag or in your car or wherever it is that you need it at the time when you're going swimming. This is a habit within the habit of going swimming. You also have to have the habit of having enough money in the pocket or your pass to get into the swimming pool or whatever. These are habits. You also have to have the habit of telling people where you're going to be, because this is a new thing for you. So it's obviously something that the others don't expect you to be doing. So you got to let them know, right? So habits. These are all the little habits you need to have the habit of swimming. So there you go. You think about what little actions need to be done to actually make the habit possible. And finally, you have to consider out why the habit is important. In planning, you can have all these great plans, but if it doesn't feel very important to you, then you're not going to do it. You have to have a good reason why. The old saying, if you have a big enough why, then it doesn't matter what kind of how. I don't personally believe that. I see evidence that that is not true all over the world, but without a why, you're still not going to do it. So you have to have a why, but with a big enough why, a big why doesn't guarantee that you're going to develop a habit. Look at people who have lung cancer that should quit smoking, but they don't quit smoking. So obviously, you know, the threat of death is not big enough for them to actually quit smoking. So you can't say, I've got a big enough why, so therefore I'm going to do anything. So, but you have to have a why, otherwise you won't do it. So anyway, that's my rant for the time. All right, so when we talk about developing these type of plans, you have to have a well-defined, well-researched plan in front of you. It has to be something that you've looked at very carefully to understand what it is you actually need to do. We talked about all the little habits that are required for even just going swimming regularly. So what are all those habits that you need to put together to make your resolution actually a thing? When you say, I'm going to make more money, well, great. What does that mean? Are you going to be able to somehow inherit some money? Are you going to invest money? Are you going to work longer hours? Are you going to pick up bottles along the side of the road? What is it that you're going to do to make the money? And what plans do you need to make that a reality? If you want to make more money at work, then maybe you need more schooling. So the plan is to actually take some classes, right? So that's an example of having a plan, and then realizing that once you've got the schooling, then you have to do the extra work, because an employer isn't just willing to pay because of education, right? They are more interested in paying for results. So we have to think about that. Your education makes you more valuable, but only if that value is translated into value for your employer or customers or clients or whatever you want to consider. All right, so one of the biggest ways to develop a plan is to have an intention statement. Now, we talked about these before, and they're well researched. They've been shown to be very valuable for people who wanted to make changes. So what is an intention statement? I'll talk about it quick. It is something that you write out that has a very specific plan for you in times and what you're going to do. So I think my last example was doing push-ups. See, I'm going to do more push-ups. Great. What does that mean, doing more push-ups? Where, when, why, how, whatever. So when you write out an intention statement, you've got to be a good journalist. You got to write out who, which is you. I am going to, what are you going to do? I'm going to do 10 push-ups. And where, I'm going to do them outside of the bathroom before the kitchen in the hallway. That's when I get out of the bathroom first thing in the morning. And why, so I can have a strong upper body, right? Who, what, where, when, and why. If you have all those in place, then that's a good intention statement. So we talked about swimming. I'm going to go swimming every day after work. That's me. What you're going to do. Where? At the pool on the way home. When? Well, who, what, where. So what I'm going to do, where I'm going to do it, when, after work, I'm going to do it after work, and why. Why? Because I'm need to decompress after work and feel better about the rest of the evening, something like that. Who, what, where, when, and why. So intention statement. Write out an intention statement. It's a great way to show that you actually have a plan. Because if you don't have a plan, then you're not going to work. I'm not going to be able to put it together, and so you're going to be struggling with, okay, so like I just did, who, oh yeah, it's me, where, okay, where am I actually going to do this? You know, once you've got all that in place, you're much more likely to do it. All right, so that's all the positive stuff. Now on the other side, there's the negative stuff. If you don't do the action, then what are you going to get? That's an important thing to think about. I've talked about going towards positive things and going away from negative things. So if you have both those in mind, then you're much more likely to do the action and work out the plan. So when you work out your plan, think, okay, what is going to happen to me if I don't do the action, right? I think my prior example was losing your keys, right? If you don't put your keys where they're supposed to go, you lose your keys. You know, what is all the negative things that could happen because you lost your keys? Well, it could be the same thing with your swimming habit or your running habit or your education habit. Whatever the plan is, you know, what is the worst thing that could happen? Think about how far down that rabbit hole you can go. And once you get down to the bottom, then imagine yourself in that position. And then when you go to do your habit, you can remind yourself, oh, this is why I'm doing it, to avoid this situation. With a plan, you also have your conditions of failure, right? If you don't go swimming 5 times a week, you only go 4, then you failed to go 5 times a week, and you have to figure out why you failed to go 5 times a week. You know, sometimes it's a perfectly legitimate reason, right? I had a birthday party for my daughter that I had to go to. There's no choice for that, so I'd rather go to my birthday party, the birthday party for my daughter, than go swimming for an hour. That's fair, right? But as soon as all these excuses start to build up and you're looking at your weekly swimming schedule and it's coming down, went from 5, then 1 week to 4, and then week to 3. Okay, so these are conditions of failure. You have to consider, okay, A, am I trying to swim at the wrong time? B, am I not really that committed to swimming in the first place? Or C, a combination of the two, or, you know, whatever it is, why is it that you're not going? And you can understand that only because you have those conditions of failure. I'm not swimming that many times, therefore I'm failing to do so. Why is that happening? And then you have to consider what the knock-on effects are of the habit, right? These are, when you plan something, you also should plan for the future examples or future situations that the habit is going to give you. You save money every day. It's a great habit to be in. Absolutely. What is that going to give you back? Well, it's going to give you back security. It's right in the long run, it's going to give you back security. So putting that nickel or dime or whatever when you first start, dollar or whatever, into a jar, hearing the clink, that satisfying clink, oh, okay, that's my habit. That's a great habit. But in the long run, after you take that jar, once it gets full, to the bank, you put it in a savings account, then, you know, long-term effects are, knock-on effects are, you have more security, you have money in the bank, you have money for emergency funds, all those different things. So that's a part of your plan. What are the benefits, long-term benefits of the habit that you're trying to develop? And once you've got that all in place, then you have a plan. That's a real plan, a plan that includes what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, why you're going to do it, and how you're going to determine whether you're succeeding or failing, and what's going to happen if you don't, and then the knock-on positive effects if you do. And that's a great plan. So there you go. That'll help you avoid this pitfall of trying to develop a new habit and just jumping in and saying, I'm going to do this, and then not planning. All right. That's all I have for you this time. We'll talk to you about the next one next time.